Welcome back to Thomas Plays Europa Universalis for the Najd Jihad achievement run. In the last episode, we left off with the Ottomans declaring war on me for a number of their claims. Rather than duking it out with the Ottomans, I decided to peace out and give them as little as possible in the peace deal. What I lost amounted to 4 provinces that I took from the Mamluks to attempt to block the Ottomans from getting into North Africa, as well as the entirety of my Iraqi vassal. Interestingly enough, because the Ottomans ended their alliance with me, I did not incur any penalty for having the alliance broken, and because I had already had a lot of trust with them, once the opinion malice for having provinces that the Ottomans claim went away, I was able to ally the Ottomans again. Knowing that the Ottoman missions continue to give them claims on land that I currently occupy, which means that I will not be able to be their ally forever, at least with the alliance I have at minimum a 5-year truce before they're going to attack me again and a bit of warning, I decided to continue with expansion and hopefully outgrow the Ottomans as they try to eat me. In pursuit of this, I attack Mombasa. Mombasa's only allies are Ajuran, who I've already defeated and partitioned quite well, and Ogaden, a small country that appeared in the wasteland near the Horn of Africa. I outnumber the alliance roughly 2-1, so I make short work of all of their armies and siege the country without much issue. Not wanting to incur a long truce timer with Ajuran for only half of the potential land claims, I piece Ajuran out for just money and war reparations, and then move on to full annex of Mombasa. The primary method I have of expansion away from the Ottomans is towards the south into Kilwa on the west of Africa. I check the ledger to see Kilwa's power relative to mine and find they have also about half of the troops that I have, which means the war should be relatively easy to persecute. Because I think it is doable, I declare war on Kilwa. The war is made more difficult by the fact that there's a lot of unrevealed territory in the west of Africa that Kilwa's army can move into, but I cannot, meaning I have to be more careful than I normally would in a war. I siege Kilwa's capital without much issue. Not too long afterwards, I also disinherit a few of my heirs, as they are quite subpar. I make use of disinheriting any poor heirs quite frequently across this entire campaign to make sure I at least do better than the average of a 3-3-3. As well, after sieging Kilwa's capital, I moved my army north and managed to trap Kilwa's army on Zanzibar by pulling my boats into shore, attacking the army, and then once the army is defeated, moving my boats back out before they're able to get off the island, I'm able to completely stack wipe Kilwa's main force. I full annex Ogaden, peace out Mabari for money and war reparations, and then move on to take everything that I possibly can from Kilwa, which ends up to be the majority of the African coast. Kilwa, the province itself, is very useful because it's one of the few gold-producing provinces in the game. While I was eating Kilwa, the Ottomans had moved on to the Mamluks again. The Ottoman peace deal allowed them to finish another mission, which gave them claims over the entire Egypt region, including some of my land, again. I attempt to sell the provinces to the Ottomans, but they won't buy them, so I end up exploiting the development to get a bit of cash and manpower, then return the provinces to the Mamluks for a loss of prestige. I also end up having to unselect the entirety of Egypt as a desired region of Najd, so that the Ottomans doesn't conflict with that either. Although I'm unhappy with these actions, they are required to prevent the Ottomans from wanting to kill me again, as I got a minus 135 penalty from holding just 3 claimed provinces they had this time. If I can't keep the Ottomans as an ally, I am doing everything I can to keep them pacified in the meantime. With the Ottoman issue dealt with for a little while at least, I go in for Ethiopia as they have no allies and are much more powerful. This war follows the normal war trajectory of chase the army down, stack wipe them, full siege the country. From now on I won't be highlighting the details of small wars. Expansion is incurring a heavy toll on my administrative powers, so for the Ethiopian land I decide to release one of the many vassals that can be found in this region. I give this vassal all the land that I took from Ethiopia. After releasing and giving land to Semyon, my new vassal, I integrate Maren. Not too long afterwards as well, the Ottomans complete another mission and get claims over parts of southern Iraq and current-day Kuwait, as well as the Hassa land that I took in the Gulf of Persia. Even though I had just done a bunch of work and given up 3 provinces to the Mamluks to keep the Ottoman alliance, only 2 years later, it seems that I will lose the Ottomans as an ally for the rest of the game. My only goal now is to get more alliances and get more powerful, so that the Ottomans are not able to defeat me to such a point where continuing on with this achievement run is no longer feasible. And on the 1st of December 1520, the Ottomans break our alliance for a second time. Since I now know that I am in the Ottoman sights, I'm feeling relatively vulnerable and willing to take slightly less optimal actions if they make me more powerful in the short run. Because of this, I take out a number of loans to embrace the Renaissance early. It was spreading through my country already, but I decided not to wait any longer. Having the Renaissance embraced means that I can now take techs without a penalty, meaning that I can get up to military tech 7 quickly. Although I should have also waited until I got the innovative minus 10% tech cost reduction idea before I embraced any techs. All major expansion routes that I have available to me right now are either blocked by alliances with the Ottomans, in the case of Ajuran, or truces, because I recently attacked that country, with the exception of the Mamluks. Even though the Mamluks have been beaten up by the Ottomans quite a lot, they're still relatively similar in power to me. The Mamluks are also allied with Ajuran, which means I can isolate Ajuran from the Ottomans with this war. Due to a tech difference causing a large morale difference between our armies, the Mamluks actually take the first victory in this war. I retreat the army I was using to fight the Mamluks after that initial loss. Ajuran and the Mamluks both focus on sieging my country to the north, which allows me to siege Ajuran's nation to the south. I'm able to peace out Ajuran and isolate Mamluks for a relatively easy war from here on. At least that's what I thought would happen. The Mamluks continue to show that their 11 stack can beat my nearly 30 stack quite handily. Eventually, by no military tactics nor intelligence on my side, I defeat the Mamluks by just having significantly more men than them. About halfway through my war with the Mamluks, the Ottomans decide to attack my ally, Tunis. I had allied Tunis hoping that a middle power would help stave off the Ottomans, although clearly the Ottomans outsmarted me here. After sieging Cairo, then the rest of the Mamluks, I signed a peace deal with them, taking whatever provinces that I can that should hopefully block as much Ottoman expansion into the Mamluks as possible. The single country that I had been trying to woo the most so that I could form an alliance with them and hopefully stave off Ottoman aggression was Poland. Poland has Lithuania as their personal union in this game, and Poland is rivaled to the Ottomans, so that means that they would very likely join any wars against the Ottomans, even if they are significantly outmatched. Although the Ottomans are the number one power at this moment, so whether they would be deterred is unclear. After taking the lands from the Mamluks, I am actually able to now rival the Ottomans. This will give me a major opinion boost with any other countries that also rival the Ottomans, including Poland. In the interwar years, I also take the opportunity to try to develop the colonialism institution in one of my provinces that has a production efficiency boost for coffee. About a year after beginning to develop the colonialism institution, and about 3 years after the War of the Mamluks, I check Poland and find that they actually would now be willing to become my ally. I don't think I've clicked a button faster in this game than I have the Propose Alliance button with Poland. Although looking at the ledger, we can see that myself and Poland combined only roughly equal the Ottomans in development and manpower. Four years on, and after threatening Emuria for a foothold onto Madagascar, I declare war on Kilwa to finish them off. Then I immediately go and annex all of Emuria as well. While I have roughly half of my nation's army present in Madagascar cleaning things up, the Commonwealth decides now would be the perfect opportunity to attack the Ottomans, Bohemia, Hormuz, and Ajuran. After striving for roughly the last 60 years to get an alliance with Poland, who is now the Commonwealth, I don't want to immediately lose that by declining this, but Poland really caught me with my pants down here. I scramble a little and then eventually accept the call to arms. I spent just short of 500 gold hiring a mercenary army to fight Hormuz, use my army that was in Egypt to siege a bit of land and go to siege Hormuz, and try to bring my armies from Madagascar back as quickly as possible. It seems like Ajuran did not accept the call to arms for some reason. The mercs I hired in Hormuz are not particularly effective, but at least they keep the army pinned down for a little bit. I can keep the Ottomans at bay for a little while at least, with the forts that I have on my borders, although eventually they will siege through them if I am not able to finish Hormuz off quickly. Unfortunately, sieging Hormuz's coastal fort takes quite a while, and the Ottomans are able to get through my fort in Iraq, leaving the way open for my capital. Unless I'm able to stop them. So far, the war is relatively inconclusive. The balance of power looks good on our side, although our forces are split on either side of the Ottomans, and I think the Ottomans might be able to defeat in detail each of our countries. While still trying to siege Hormuz's coastal fort, I send the rest of my forces to try to push the Ottomans and Hormuz out of my lands to the northeast. The battle proves disastrous for us, and shortly after, my stack gets stack wiped by the Ottomans. After almost a year of sieging, I'm finally able to get Hormuz's coastal fort and concentrate my armies to try to push the Ottomans out of my capital. The Ottomans peace out silly on our side, not a good omen, and I am able to relieve the siege on my cap with a concentration of power against an Ottoman 14 stack. After pushing the Ottomans off my cap, I look at the ledger and realize just how dire this war would really be. The Ottomans outnumber my army 3-1. And I don't have any assistance on this side of the Ottomans, so I'm fighting them on my own, while the Commonwealth is not making much progress on their end. I decided to attempt to maximize my war score as best as possible, and then peace out for whatever I can manage. I managed to strike a deal with the Ottomans to abandon 2 corps in former Mamluk land, return 1 corps to Ajran, give them 1,800 ducats, and war reparations. A very expensive deal, though it is significantly better than what it will cost me to continue to fight the war. And the fact that I can peace out without losing any significant land to them is a huge victory in my books. We'll have to see how the Commonwealth can do in this war without me. To attempt to improve the situation after the Ottomans' war, I take some more land from the Mamluks and declare war on Zimbabwe. I'm hoping to take from Zimbabwe the 3 gold provinces they have. Hopefully that will help alleviate the 1,800 ducat hole in my budget from the peace deal with the Ottomans. After a surprisingly long and grindy war with Zimbabwe and their allies, I eventually peaced out, taking the gold provinces and a few extras, just like I had hoped. After the war with Zimbabwe, I poke around a few different countries and noticed that Muscovy would be willing to become my ally. With Muscovy, Commonwealth, Timurids, Jaunpur, and Gujarat, I now have a very large alliance block of top contender players, and 3 of them, Commonwealth, Muscovy, and Timurids, would all very likely be willing to join a war against the Ottomans at some point down the line. September 26th, 1548, and Mani Saud is born. He is my new heir, a 566. Almost a perfect role for a king. I'll be doing everything I possibly can to keep this kid alive so that he can rule my country in the future. I also finish Innovative Ideas and pick up the 15% bonus infantry combat ability policy. 6 relatively uneventful years of managing my country pass, and I pick up the next idea group, Exploration Ideas. This will allow me to colonize some land and get into the Spice Islands, which might allow me to make extra money by forwarding trade from there to Zanzibar. While I play, I periodically check all the nations that I think I might want to attack, just in case any of the diplomatic situation changed. While looking at Ajuran, I noticed that the Ottomans would no longer join them to defend them in a war if I were to attack. Looking at the reason, it seems the Ottomans are multiple thousands of ducats in debt. I guess they didn't make much good use of the money that I sent them in our peace deal. To exploit the Ottomans' lack of financial sense, I attack all the countries that I had been blocked from expanding into due to alliances with the Ottomans. First Ajuran, then Hormuz. Without the Ottomans to protect them, Ajuran falls quite easily, and I take a peace deal giving me the majority of the Horn of Africa. My Indian allies, Gujarat and Jaunpur, are able to defeat Hormuz's ally, Delhi, quite handily, and the Timurids defeat Ajam for me. I piece Hormuz's allies out for money and a little bit of land to my allies just to be nice, and I take the rest of Hormuz for myself, finally securing the entire Arabian Peninsula. I noticed the Evangelical Union forming, though unfortunately the Ottomans does not join and get stuck into a big grinding war. Near the end of 1565, I abdicate my king to get my 566 heir as my ruler. A few years after that, I also begin to develop the printing press in Kilwa. Kilwa again is a gold province and a very valuable trade province in the Zanzibar node. So although Kilwa is far away from my core lands in the Arabian Peninsula, it is still a worthwhile development target. The 30-Year War kicks off, and like I said, the Ottomans do not get embroiled in it. Looking at the Ottomans' ledger, they are still significantly more powerful than me, with more than triple the force limit and more than double the troops. Although the Ottomans are still individually significantly more powerful than me, around 1570, I start to feel secure enough that I might be able to actually go to war with the Ottomans if I can get at least Russia, Commonwealth, and Timurids to join me. Unfortunately, only Commonwealth would join at this moment. Both Timurids and Russia are significantly in debt, so I begin to take loans to try to pay them off. I do this by first sending the Timurids about 2,000 gold and Russia about 800. I find that if you send a gift worth about 20% more than the debt that a country carries, they usually use that to pay off the debt. If you send roughly the same amount, they don't do it. They just sit with the money or something. In preparation for a war with the Ottomans, I also try to send my navy around Africa to go into the Mediterranean, although I don't calculate the naval attrition and end up actually losing all those boats. I include this in case anyone was under the impression I'm actually good at this game. Well, not all the boats were lost. At least I got one there. After the wars with Ajuran and Hormuz, the Ottomans had not picked up additional allies. In preparation for hopefully attacking the Ottomans, I attack Funj first. The Ottomans are still so far in debt that they are not willing to defend their last ally. I integrate Semyon and soon after vassalize Funj as I have an open diplomatic slot. Looking at the Ottomans to see if they are in fact diplomatically isolated, I realize my plan backfired, and the Ottomans have now picked up Spain as an ally. Spain is among the strongest powers in the game, likely only weaker than France and Ottomans themselves. On top of all that, I see that my allies, Commonwealth and Russia, are fighting each other. At this rate, I don't think I'll be fighting the Ottomans anytime soon. Oh well, at least I can finally end the Mamluks. The Commonwealth-Russia war is thankfully relatively short. Russia seems to win and force the Commonwealth to release a vassal in current-day Ukrainian territory. I also finally have enough prestige and development to become an empire. Becoming an empire is not a huge deal, though it does give a cultural union over all of the Arabian culture. Having a cultural union over Arabian culture means that all of those cultures become accepted, so I can make more money from those lands. While poking around between the Ottomans and Spain, I noticed that the Spain-Ottomans alliance is very tenuous. Rushing to take advantage of this, I gift Russia 1,500 ducats, check to see that all the allies I would want to attack the Ottomans would attack the Ottomans, and then declare war. It is finally time to take revenge. Neither Spain nor Bengal opted to join the war. The war is myself, Timurids, Commonwealth, and Russia versus the Ottomans and Ajuran. Looking at the ledger, the Ottomans have about 120,000 troops, I have 88, and Ajuran has 3,000. Ajuran is almost negligible in this war, all I'll need to do is hire some mercs to deal with them, while me and my allies all focus on the Ottomans. I managed to set myself up to be in a position to attack the Ottomans when they were at their weakest, I think. The balance of power very heavily favors our side for land armies. On the far east of the Ottomans, bordering myself and the Timurids, there are 3 forts in the Zagros Mountains. My primary plan is to use my forces to siege those as best I can, while the rest of my allies are fighting the Ottomans. I want to get these because the Ottoman fort situation is such that opening these forts will allow me to move into the Levant from multiple directions, as well as it will allow the Timurids to move through the Ottomans to support me and to attack Anatolia without having to go through Russia. The Ottomans are sending some of their forces to siege my Egyptian land, as well as some of them are coming in the fog of war towards the Zagros Mountains. Commonwealth and Russia are both focusing on the Balkans, and the Timurids and I are focusing on eastern Ottoman land. The first of the 3 Zagros mountain forts falls without issue, though soon after the Ottomans catch one of my infantry stacks. While I am still sieging one of the last forts that I need to properly open up the way for the Timurids, I don't have the forces to properly fight the Ottomans in this one, so I retreat. While still working on sieging the Zagros mountain forts, My mercenary stack sieges the capital of Ajuran, and I am able to piece them out. The Ottomans are completely alone in this war now. The Commonwealth and Russia are working together quite well to siege the Balkans, and the Ottomans pull their forces out of the Middle East to go relieve the Balkan sieges. With the Ottoman armies pulled back, I send my forces forward to take the next fort, and in short order it does fall, meaning I can move in to siege Anatolia and also work on the Levant. 1.5 years into the war, and I've sieged much of the Middle East regions. I'm working on sieging back the Egyptian regions the Ottomans had, and I'm also sending my forces to begin sieging the entire Levant region. The Ottomans are working on sieging one of Circassia's forts in the Caucasus. Circassia is one of Russia's vassals. Most of the other Ottoman forces are present in the Balkans, trying to stave off Commonwealth and Russian forces from pushing in onto their heartland and their capital. And the Commonwealth wins a major victory against the Ottomans in the Balkans. After sieging the forts of Aleppo and Karak, I get a very quick 3-month siege of Damascus. These 3 forts mean I control the entirety of the Levant and can move my forces into sieging Anatolia. I siege Alexandria shortly thereafter, meaning that I can take the entirety of the Egypt region as well. Looking at the broader map, by abandoning their lands in Asia, the Ottomans have been able to push the Commonwealth and Russia back, and are actually making some progress, though it is coming at a major cost to the rest of their country. While I continue on taking Anatolia, the Ottomans are able to win a costly battle against the Commonwealth and Russia in the Caucasus. Every battle like this only costs the Ottoman more manpower and takes them closer to completely breaking. Only a month after the major battle in the Caucasus, and 3 major battles happen in short succession. The Ottomans take a 30 stack and attack the 20 stack that was sieging Constantinople, though the Commonwealth are able to win this battle by bringing in reinforcements. The Commonwealth comes in and defeats the Ottoman army that won in the Caucasus previously, and the Timurids attack an Ottoman 10 stack near the Zagros Mountains to the east. Looking at the balance of power between myself and the Ottomans, I have nearly as many troops as the Ottomans and double the manpower, although both of us are running relatively low on manpower at this point in the war. As the full siege of the Ottomans' Asian and Asia Minor territories continues, the Ottomans works to siege back one fort the Commonwealth took in Wallachia, although while it's doing that, the Commonwealth is finally able to take Constantinople. My army had been unable to assist any of the sieges in the Balkans because of the Ottoman navy preventing passage between Anatolia and the Balkans. Once Constantinople falls, I am able to cross my troops without having to run the entire way around the Black Sea. With their capital taken, most of their land sieged, and their armies broken, the Ottomans are finally willing to accept a 100% peace deal. From the Ottomans, I retake all the cores that I had previously lost, the entirety of the Egyptian coast, a bit of the land in Gaza, a single province in Iraq, and a single province towards the south of Egypt. Although the Ottomans lost this war, and they are battered, they are definitely not broken. They will continue to remain a threat in this game. I find often, even when you win a war against a great power, you need 3 or 4 wars to properly beat them down and prevent them from being a threat to you in the future. While I wait for my next opportunity to attack the Ottomans after the truce expires, I continue on with general country management and expansion. I pick up the next idea group, aristocratic ideas. Aristocratic ideas does not make your country significantly better in one specific way, like offensive or quantity ideas does, but it is a generally nice category that I like to pick up if I'm not really sure what I'd like to do. Getting lower military tech cost, autonomy reduction, and an extra diplomat is always nice to have. About 5 years after the end of the Ottoman War, I noticed that my wonderful allies, Commonwealth and Russia, have decided to take a bite out of each other again. Their constant fighting is making it very difficult to plan Ottoman removal. As the last few things to clean up before we go, I finish off Zimbabwe, taking the rest of their country, take a large bite out of Tunis, release Syria so that I can declare war on the Ottomans next time and feed some of their cores for cheaper war score, and integrate Funj. The best allies ever continue to fight. This time it looks like Commonwealth might beat Russia. And we can check on the achievement progress. Currently I'm at 170 Sunni provinces out of the 500 required for the Jihad achievement. Though with the age of absolutism around the corner, the pace at which I acquire new provinces should dramatically increase soon. Thank you very much for watching. With the Ottomans now provably defeatable, we can now finally begin to actually make progress on the achievements beyond just generally expanding. Farewell for now. The Najd Jihad will continue in the next episode.